Interim Defense Minister Naftali Bennett has announced a new sweeping policy of no longer returning the bodies of killed terrorists to their families for burials, regardless of their organizational affiliations. The policy announcement comes after meetings between Netanyahu and top advisors with the Goldin family a few days ago. The Goldin family is still mourning their son Hadar. He has been held by Hamas for 5 years. Terrorists killed Hadar during a cross-border invasion during a ceasefire, then dragged him into Gaza. Minister Bennett says today that this new policy will strengthen deterrence against potential future attackers. And it is my privilege to introduce in studio with me Leah Goldin, who is the mother of that fallen IDF hero, Hadar Goldin. Leah, thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you.
First question, do you believe that this new policy will help you get Hadar back to Israel for burial?
First of all, it's not a new policy. It's by the law. It's by the international humanitarian law to return the deceased. And just as a reminder, Hadar was kidnapped and killed during a humanitarian ceasefire, and by the international humanitarian law, Hadar should be returned immediately, and Doron, of course, immediately and unconditionally. This is the exact wording of the Secretary General, the UN Secretary General, okay, and the Red Cross. Now, this is not a new policy. I mean, this should have been done for the last 5 years, because Israel is obeying the law and returning the bodies. But according to the law, we can withhold the bodies until they return our kids by law. And the fact that Naftali Bennett, the defense ministers, reaffirms what Bibi Netanyahu said last week during our meeting is very encouraging, because it means that they talk serious and now demand and request the return of Hadar Goldin, Oron Shaul, and the civilians.
You said that this is not a new policy, but maybe by the letters, the written text. But in effect, Israel, in recent years, this year and last year, they have returned the bodies. The decision has been made from the IDF or the Shabach, the Shin Bet, that it was in the security interest to return individual bodies sometimes. This new announcement for Bennett says, never again, no more.
I just want to remind you that almost more than a year ago, we went to the Supreme Court about this issue, very same issue. And the Supreme Court, actually, we win in the Bagat, and the instruction was to withhold these bodies of remind you, the terrorists. They came to kill people, and they actually killed them. And the idea was to withhold them until they return our sons. So this is not new in terms of what should be done, but it's new from our point of view in terms of being serious to do it and to insist on return our soldiers.
So I know your pain is unimaginable, and you've been grieving for 5 years, and there's this still hoping and praying that you can get your son here to Israel where he belongs for burial. Do you have new hope? Is this in your mind? Do you actually have new hope today that you did not have yesterday?
Yes, the new hope is related to this issue, but not exactly this one, because our concern now, as this public statement about the bodies, is in a way a smokescreen for a serious thing, what we discussed with Prime Minister. And this is the arrangement, what we call in Hebrew, hasdara, with the Hamas. Because actually we were promised a year ago that there will be no agreement without the return of Hadar and Doron, the soldiers. And what we discussed with the Prime Minister last week is actually to identify the specific project that will be conditioned by the return of our son. So this is the more encouraging thing,
so
because
could there be
now
a swap now?
I don't
bargaining?
know. This is my concern, but I want to raise this issue here because this is the most encouraging thing. I mean, I wish Gaza to be like Singapore next to us. But all those business agreements and all those commercial agreements and money, cash money going back to Gaza, this should be conditioned by the return of the soldiers. Now, I would like just to remind you that last June, there was a United Nations resolution 2474 that specifically says that wherever there is a armed conflict in whatever place in the world, when agreements are initiated, those that are initiate the agreements, they are responsible to return the missing person and the dead as a confidence-building step to any agreement. Yeah. A commercial agreement, ceasefire agreement, peace-building agreement, whatever.
But in that way, could this be a way that Israel could improve leverage, bargaining? Is this...
Exactly. And we met 2 weeks ago, just before the last round of missiles. We met Mr. Nikolai Mladenov, and he initiated a public statement because this resolution is aimed to the UN state members, to the UN organization, to the special envoys, to all the good countries that are have real concern in improving the life in Gaza. So this is our chance now, and this is their responsibility now to implement 2474 as Secretary General Antonio Guterres promised us when he invited us to his office last August.
You met Prime Minister Netanyahu a few days ago. You've met him many times over the last few years. Why do you think that now maybe he's more willing to take new steps and have his defense minister have new public announcements? Are you concerned it's a political ploy given the nature of the political situation?
Look, everything is political in Israel, and everything that happened to our case in terms of return Hadar was pure politics. But the return of the soldiers is not political. It's not a political issue. It's a humanitarian issue, especially that they are considered not to be alive. So this is not a political issue. The fact that and the question of why is maybe will win, the one that can answer it will win a Nobel Prize, you know. But from our point of view, we managed to prove in Supreme Court that this is legal because during the last 5 years we've been told that this is against the law, No, it's legal.
But now we have an interim prime minister and an interim defense minister. This is a caretaker government. It's not a full government, and it's a big announcement to make. Are you concerned about the timing? Does it bother you, the timing, or you think it's the right thing to do regardless of the time?
After 5 years and 4 months, every minute is the time, and we can return them. We could return them yesterday when $30 million, Qatar's dollar, were transmitted directly to the Hamas hand. So every day is an opportunity. The fact that they start talking about it, it's because we do a lot of work, both in Israel and outside Israel. I've been to Geneva, to the UN Human Rights Council. I've been to the UN. And, you know, it's like setting the scene that I hope that nobody can now have any excuses not to do it.
Mrs. Leah Goldin, thank you so much for being with us on the show Daily Dose today here at I-24 News. It's been a privilege. Thank you so much as you continue your fight.
Thank you. Thank you.